Hello and welcome to Irish Science Fiction. My name is Brian Sexton and you are about to listen to, if you hang around, Chapter 40 of a story called Nancy Good Aim, the Space Ranger. So, it's a hen, it's a daw, it's a tree, and away we go. The road from the stormy hills to Tobanachta follows a more or less straight line from Habon to the crumbling stone defences of the town itself. To call it a road would be being generous. It's little more than a mucky overgrown path with no indication that it was ever anything other than a mucky overgrown path. The crumbling defensive walls of Tobanachta are different. The parts of the ramparts that are still intact stretch to over 30 feet in height and must have been impressive back in their day. Although that day was clearly long ago, and European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy Good Aim McGinley, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow, and the elderly Jupiterian couple of Habon and Shenobble Unterwackel had no bother stepping from the road/trail from Habon and into Tobanachta around the crumbling stone defences. They were on their way to a Sozniacks recruiting office, following the advice from the abbot of Habon, who reasoned that the best and quickest way to get to Sosman City, formerly Hobble would be to sign up as a Sozniak and be sent there for training. The recruitment office, as it turned out, was hard to find. It involved visiting 6 different steel and stone buildings and Nancy asking 13 different Tobanachtians for directions. Their replies were as follows. Why would you want to go there? How am I supposed to know? Hey, where are you lot from? It's not far, but I'm not sure where. What sort of agents would want to join the Sozniacks? You didn't see me here, alright? And I never said Sosman was a bollocks. That was just someone else that looked like me. Just so you know. Sozniak Recruitment Centre. Never heard of it. Who sent ye? Is this a trick? I'm too busy to chat right now. Ask someone else. I don't talk to Bundosnians. If ye don't know, then I'm not going to tell ye. Until finally, Nancy got a somewhat insightful reply. It brought Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble to their destination. And it was, it's not far, but you'll have a job finding it. Continue as you're heading and take the third lane it branching inwards to the centre. It looks like nothing, but if you see a pair of old biddies out on the street talking about snodagombles, then you're in the right spot. The moderately well-dressed Jupiterian that gave the directions followed them up with a word of advice. Don't go joining that shower though. They're a bunch of flutes. Nobody likes Sozniacks. And with that, Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble eventually found themselves in a quiet small side street that ran at right angles from the maze of slightly less quiet, wide polished rock surface roads that divided the buildings of Tobanachta, and standing outside a medium-sized unassuming wooden door with the title Snodagomble Repair and Sozniak Recruiting Office etched into the rusty metal plate above it. Well, at least that's what Habon Unterwackel translated the writing to mean. Who would want to get a snodagomble fixed? Muttered Shenobble. Oh no, this useless way of heating water no longer works. Better go and see if I can get it fixed before I have to use a practical method. Because if generations of Jupiterian lives have taught me anything, it's that a brand new convoluted way of doing things is way better than the tried and tested method. No, it's not, you big dope, snapped Habon. The snodagomble is rubbish, and nobody would want to get one fixed. Why do you think that door looks like nobody has wandered through it in eons? I know that, Habon. Every Jupiterian knows that. I was being sarcastic. Only a Sozniak would be stupid enough to try and fix a snodagomble. Habon didn't reply. Not because she didn't want to, but because she was distracted by the opening of a small semicircular window directly above the door, and the appearance of a large, angry-looking, wrinkly female Jupiterian head that scowled at Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble respectively, and shouted, Hello, folks! Are ye here to get a snodagomble repaired? It was a slightly angry voice, tired and slightly angry. No, said Nancy. Right, well, then, it's very early. If you're selling something, can you call around later? Or wait, never. We have enough stuff here to do us, unless you have something for heating water. We're here to see about joining the Sozniacks, explained Nancy. How is? My name is Nancy McGinley from the European Space Agency on Earth. This is Bart McMorrow, also from there, and this is Habon Unterwackel and Shenobble Unterwackel from Bundosna, and all 4 of us would like to sign up to the Sozniacks. Are ye serious? Asked the Jupiterian woman at the window, who Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble would later find out was called Tonorable Flonk. Yes, replied Nancy. This isn't a joke now! No. Someone put ye up to this. Did Garmin Inskabel put you up to this? I bet he did. He didn't. Then who was it put you up to this? Asked the woman. Nobody. We just want to join the ranks of the Sozniacks and travel to Sosman City to be trained in Nancy's voice faded. It was replaced by silence, which was broken by Shenobble saying, "The Abbot of Aberdeen told us it was a good idea. He reckoned ye dopes would be sending us to Habon Graniker for trading, so we get a free spin there out of ye." And the silence was further broken by Habon replying, "Quiet, you big dope. So, ye really want to join the Sozniacks?" said the voice. Yes, replied Nancy. "Don't be wasting my time. I've got Shenobbles to fix, and I don't want any messing. Do you really want to join the Sozniacks?" "Yes." "But why would you go and do that?" asked the woman at the window. She sounded less angry and more worried. Because we admire Sosman Borkstapel," lied Nancy. The former angry but now worried window-occupying woman stared at Bart. "Is your friend okay? Did he take Shenobble berries?" No, just me and Habon," said Shenobble. "And Nancy is lying. We all think Sosman Borkstapel is a complete bollocks." "That sounds more like it," said the now relieved-sounding woman. "Good to hear you say that. I was getting worried for a minute. Thought you might be a pair of nutjobs out to steal my Shenobbles. Can't be too careful. This place has gone to pot since Sosman took over. If I was any younger, I'd be out there fighting him. Or making his reign difficult. Or doing something other than sitting in this kip with Borgelli fixing water heaters. So anyway, for some unknown reason you want to join the Sozniacks, that's fine with me." "Do you not want to know the reason?" asked Nancy. "I couldn't care less. I'm on commission." "Good luck getting any money out of the Sozniacks," said Shenobble. "They're as tight as a duck's arse, a lot of them. Look at the state of this place. You'd think they'd give you the funds for a new sign. No, it's true what they say. A Sozniack is nothing but a bitter, useless tool of a creature." "You're about to become one," said Habon. "Yeah, but I'm going to be a rubbish one." "That's what they all say," said the voice. "Hang on, I'll come down and let you in." The letting in involved shouting, muffled arguing, and the wooden door creaking open to reveal a large, dusty room filled with chairs and tables and counters all facing in different directions, and two middle-aged/elderly/indeterminate but not young female Jupiterians. They were both dressed in shabby brown and yellow clothes and whispering to each other. The room was badly lit with a flickering yellow light set into one of the walls, and there was another even more battered wooden door at the far wall leading into an even darker and worse lit hallway, which one of the women shuffled down the minute Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble stepped into the building. The remaining middle-aged/elderly/indeterminate age Jupiterian, the one who had been at the window, shouted, "Get this lot food and drink, you lazy lump." "Excuse me," snapped Habon. "Not you! I'm talking to me cousin Borgelli," snapped the middle-aged/elderly-indeterminate age Jupiterian who had been at the window. "And anyways, you're paying for it. It's going to be coming out of your wages. My name's Shenobble. Oh wait, I said that. I didn't say. I'm the best Shenobble technician in Tobanachta." "I'm Nancy," said Nancy. "And this is Bart, Habon and Shenobble," she added, gesturing around her. "Is that supposed to impress me? I don't care who you are. So you can stop your showing off. Sit down, the laddie." Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble all sat down. The seats didn't lend themselves to being sat in. They were damp, mouldy and smelled of urine, but the group was tired. Bart began quietly snoring as soon as he sat. "So," said Shenobble after a long pause, "do thee lot use drugs?" "No," said Nancy. "Are you sure?" asked the woman, pointing to Bart. "Your friend looked like he's out of his mind." "No, he always looks like that," said Nancy. What did she just say about me?" asked Bart, who woke briefly with the insult. "I said you look like you're out of your mind on drugs," shouted Shenobble. "Well, you're no oil painting yourself," replied Bart, who then turned to Nancy and said, "Tell Ayok to mind her own business." He then spat on the floor, leaned back in his rotten damp chair, closed his eyes, and resumed a half-sleep. "None of us take drugs," said Nancy. "Well then why do that pair look like they've been floating about Jupiter on Shenobble berries since the dawn of time?" "The cheek you," snapped Habon. "I'm not going to sit here and take guff from a Sozniack." "Sorry," interrupted Nancy. "None of us use drugs, and we all want to be Sozniacks." "That'll be a first, so. But sure, whatever ye say," nodded Shenobble. "I don't really care if you're out of your minds or not. I was just making conversation, just to make it seem like the Sozniacks are picky. We take anyone, you know. All I need is for one of ye to register your intent at the Sozniack garrison, and I'll book ye onto the next Sozniack transport." "How do I do that?" asked Nancy. "Are you from Jupiter or what?" asked Shenobble. No, I'm from Earth." "Never heard of it," said Shenobble. "I suppose nobody's perfect. Anyway, what you're going to need to do is head over to the garrison and let someone know your intent to join. And come back here when you're done. One of you can do it." "Bart, will you do it?" asked Nancy.
Your friend's asleep, noted Shenobble. And it might be for the best. He doesn't look like the sort you could trust to do anything. I'm not going, interrupted Habon. I'd be afraid I might be recognised. I've had a few run-ins with the Sozniacks that ended badly. None of them were my fault, though. All of them were your fault, said Shenobble. You hate Sozniacks. We both do. I'm not going either. I don't mind hanging out with new recruits because they're bound to still have a bit of decency in them. But there's no way I'm going to head over to the garrison. That's where they stick the old useless ones. And there's no saving them or reasoning with them. You go, Nancy. You got a serene sort of look about you. No, she doesn't, interrupted Habon. She's armed with a crossbow, for obbligong's sake. Wisht, will you, Habon? I'm trying to persuade her to go.
How do I get to the garrison? Asked Nancy.
It's the big white blocky structure that looks like nothing in particular near the centre of the town, said Shenobble. Though there mightn't be anyone around, it's still early. Sure, head on anyways. All you need is for someone to witness you saying you intend to join the ranks, and the lot of ye are good to go.
All right, said Nancy. So are there no forms or paperwork to be done?
Forms or paperwork?
Asked Shenobble. Yes, said Nancy.
Never heard of them, said
Shenobble. All right, it's just, how will anyone know I've registered the intention of the four of us to join the Sozniacks?
Because you'll have done it. What more could there be to it?
Asked Shenobble.
Are ye sure this one's from Jupiter?
She asked, staring at Habon.
She's not. She's from Mercury.
Earth, interrupted Nancy.
Wherever,
noted Habon.
Not Jupiter anyway, so who cares?
I'm going to need directions to the garrison, said Nancy. Which way do I head after leaving here? Shenobble cast a bony finger towards the door and then indicated to her left.
Go that way, she said.
Right, said Nancy. For how long?
Not long, just until you get to the garrison,
snapped the woman. Nancy briefly thought about the directions. They somehow managed to be both vague and clear. She stood up and walked to the heavy wooden door that led back out onto the street. This way, she asked, pointing to where the cranky Jupiterian Sozniak recruitment officer / Shenobble repairwoman had pointed.
Of course! Where else do you think?
Snapped Shenobble.
Now go on away with you. I'm very busy, and I don't have all day to sit waiting for someone who was too lazy to declare interest in joining the Sozniacks before joining the Sozniacks. I've got snottagommels to repair, and Burgelli here is useless.
What? Called a voice from further inside the building.
I said you're useless, Burgelli!
Snapped the woman.
What?
Repeated the voice.
Useless!
I can't hear you!
See what I mean, Nancy? And 3 other ones. Burgelli is useless, so hurry up with yourself, Nancy.
What? Came the voice from inside the building. Shenobble's directions were, for all their vagueness, very accurate. Nancy stepped out of the nondescript heavy wooden door and out onto the nondescript street and headed left, in a direction that brought her deeper into the maze of alleyways that flanked the large streets of Tobanachta. She had not gone more than 8 or 10 metres when a large white building appeared above the rotted roofs of the otherwise grey buildings that had been constructed and labelled Tobanachta. The building was, as Shenobble had described, completely anonymous. It was about 3 stories tall and had gaps in the white rock or masonry that looked like windows. But it was hard to be sure. If it had been on Earth, it could have been the location of a water treatment plant, a public office, an apartment block, a gymnasium, theatre, storage facility, factory, bakery, or even a well-kept abattoir. Nancy quickly found herself at what might have been the front of that building. It was, as Shenobble had said, not far. Nancy walked along what she took to be the front of the building. It was about 70 metres in length and had 2 large polished metal doors which Nancy took to be the entrance, and then, in a moment of doubt, took a quick look around the side of the building. It was also 70 metres in length with 2 polished metal doors, which inspired Nancy to inspect the remaining 2 sides, which were also identical. Nancy quietly slipped her crossbow from around her shoulder and loaded a bolt. She stepped in through the doors and into a large, bright, empty, artificially lit room with several large, brightly lit, empty corridors leading away from it. She picked one at random and walked down it. Gaps in the white walls of the corridors led into empty, bright, seemingly uniform rooms. Nancy retraced her steps back along the corridor to the large room she had first entered. She tried 2 more corridors, but there was nobody or nothing to be found. It occurred to her that she did not actually know what she was doing there, and, for all practical purposes, whatever that was, may already be done. And at the very least, a return journey to Habon, Shenobble and Tobanachta's Sozniak Recruitment Centre with the news that she had registered their intent of joining would be at worst a white lie, and probably also the only real option she had. She was about to exit through the polished steel doors when a boiler-suited, middle-aged, tired-looking male Jupiterian stumbled in and wandered towards one of the corridors. He seemed preoccupied with something, or at least was distracted enough with some or other internal reflection to belatedly notice Nancy and her crossbow. He then turned and began quickly retracing his steps. "Wait," said Nancy. The boiler-suited, middle-aged Jupiterian stopped and turned to face her.
I'd love to, but I'm in a hurry now, don't shoot. I was about to pay. It's just that, sorry, I'm in a hurry. Okay, I give up. I forgot all about the non-agonic levy. I was definitely going to pay. Sure, I'm here. You can see that. It's just, I'm still getting used to Sozniak rule. Sosman, sorry. The great and wise Sosman has only been in power for, I forget. Anyway, I didn't forget about the levy, so don't shoot, he said. Do you know where I can declare that I want to join the Sozniacks? No. Here, I suppose, I think. So you're not going to shoot?
No.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So I take it you're not a Sozniak?
No, I'm from Earth.
Earth?
The third planet.
There's a third planet?
Yes, I came here to register my intention to join the Sozniacks, said Nancy.
Why?
The lady in the Sozniak recruitment centre said we have to, me and 3 others. Her name is Tonorable. I forget her second name. The others didn't want to go.
I don't blame them. I wouldn't have bothered coming here if I wasn't me. Well, anyways, good luck.
The Jupiterian nodded, eyed the crossbow sheepishly, turned back away from the door and continued towards the corridor he had been heading for, and stopped.
Do you know where you need to go to pay the Sozniak non-agonic levy?
He asked. No, said Nancy. She watched as the Jupiterian walked into one of the corridors and thought about her plan to lie about registering her intent, which took about 8 seconds. She decided it would be her next move when the man returned.
Not down that way anyway, said the Jupiterian. Did you see anyone about?
He asked. No, repeated Nancy.
How long have you been here?
Not long, but I haven't seen a sign of anyone, said Nancy.
Ha! Typical Sozniacks. No wonder Tobanachta has fallen asunder. We was well off putting a cantabular glimp in charge of the place. At least that way there'd be no non-agonic levy. I wouldn't mind if they made it easy to pay, but you have to wander all the way to the ugliest building in town and talk to an extraterrestrial with a weapon. You'd think they'd have some of their minions here to deal with us, but not a one to be found. Such a dose. It's not as if anyone actually wants to talk to Sozniak. You do know that,
Nancy.
Right, you do know that, don't you, Nancy? Nobody will want to know you after you become a Sozniak. Nobody except other Sozniaks, and they're all a bunch of flutes. And people like me are going to hate you because the planet is falling apart and we have to pay a non-agonic levy to you. Wait, I have an idea. What do you think?
About what?
About my idea.
I don't know what it is.
Alright, no wonder you want to become a Sozniak. Is everyone on your planet as stupid as you?
The Jupiterian then stopped, glanced at Nancy's still-armed crossbow and coughed.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I should have explained to you what my idea is. I'm just upset at being here. My idea is for you to register your intent for you and your friends to join the Sozniacks to me, and then for me to pretend to pay you the non-agonic levy. You know, technically I'm paying it to a Sozniak, only it will be at a time when you were not a Sozniak, so you couldn't accept the money, and, well, you'll have registered your plans to join the dopes, so we can both get out of this kip.
Okay, said Nancy. I suppose I was planning on doing something similar.
Great. So, here's the non-agonic levy.
Nancy was not sure what reaction the Jupiterian expected, but he clearly expected one. He placed his hands on his hips and nodded to a point somewhere in the middle of the 3 metre of bright empty Sozniak garrison room between himself and Nancy.
Well?
He asked. Thanks, said Nancy weakly.
Great, thank you. You just saved me a ninth of my income. But let's keep that to ourselves, huh? Right. Your turn, extraterrestrial.
Okay. I, Nancy McGinley of the European Space Agency on Earth, together with Bart McMorrow of the European Space Agency on Earth, and Habon and Shenobble Underwackle, hereby register our intent to join the Sozniacks.
And so may it be, said the man. Go in pointless bitter grumpiness to love and serve Sosman Borgstapel.
Okay, said Nancy.
Great, said the Jupiterian. That wasn't as bad as I expected, he added. I hate the Sozniacks, you know.
Right, said Nancy.
Well, good luck. Although I don't know if I should be wishing you luck now that you're going to be a Sozniak. Wishing bad luck seems mean. Plus, I suppose,
said the man, casting another quick glance at Nancy's crossbow,
you did help me. So I suppose, moderate luck.
Nancy nodded and the pair left the building. Nancy began carefully retracing her journey away from the tall white nondescript building and back along the not long, vague but direct route to the Sozniak Recruitment Centre, and Bart McMorrow, and Habon and Shenobble Underwackle, and a less than enthusiastic host / Sozniak Recruitment Officer / Snodagamble Repairwoman named Tonorable.
Where were you?
Snapped Bart when Nancy pushed her way back in through the unlocked timber door entrance into the musty front room of the down-at-heel Sozniak Recruitment / Snodagamble Repair building. Nancy could make out the 3 bored-looking faces of Bart, Habon and Shenobble, and the 1 angry-looking face of their Sozniak Recruitment Officer host, Tonorable. Her assistant / recruitment officer colleague was standing in the dark hallway that led away from the far wall of the front room into an even darker interior. Tonorable was standing while Bart, Habon and Shenobble were seated. They all turned to face Nancy. I went to the Sozniak garrison to register our intent to join the Sozniacks, she explained.
That's what they all say,
said Habon. Typical, noted Shenobble.
Typical of what?
asked Habon.
Typical of an extraterrestrial, said Shenobble. They probably are always doing things like that. Don't hate her. She was way down the pub, said Bart. How well she kept it quiet, leaving us all here to put up with this one droning on about some stupid Jupiterian stuff nobody cares about. It is not stupid. It is important. If the main fanatical drive is not disconnected from the Lunticon while it is being replaced, then the Snodagamble is prone to breaking again. And there is no such thing as stupid Jupiterian stuff, especially to Jupiterians,
snapped the angry, red-faced, upright Shenobble.
Yes, there is, said Habon. Pretty much everything to do with Sosman Borkstapple is stupid and a waste of time, especially Snodagambles. You wait till I get hold of the Sozniacks patrol, snapped Shenobble, and tell them you lot are guilty of disrespecting Sosman. Then you'll be sorry. No, you won't. We're gonna be Sozniacks soon, and there's no way we'll be making ourselves sorry, replied Habon.
What are you all talking about? There's no pub that I know of, and I went to the Sozniacks garrison, and E3 sent me there, so this woman can know we registered and sign us up, and we can get on our way to Sosman City, said Nancy, nodding at the still-standing, red-faced Shenobble.
Hobblegranaker, interrupted Habon. Yeah, Hobblegranaker. Call that city by its name, Hobblegranaker, agreed Shenobble. There's no such thing as Hobblegranaker anymore. Ye lot are living in the past. Ye probably think ye don't need to disconnect the Lunticon from the main political drive when you're working on replacing it, explained Shenobble. What do you mean there's no pub, Nancy? Interrupted Bart. Now I know you're lying. There has to be at least 15 in a town this size. Don't try to change the subject from Snodagamble repair, extraterrestrial, interrupted Shenobble. Just because a subject is painful to hear doesn't mean you don't need to hear it. Did you register us up at the garrison, Nancy? Asked Habon.
Well, yes, said Nancy.
That was quick,
said Shenobble.
Normally it can take several planetary rotations to get hold of someone to do anything in the Sozniacks garrison.
Might have been quick to you, said Bart, but it feels to me like you've been shiting on about Snodagambles for the best part of infinity. So, said Nancy, now that we have our intent to registered, can we go ahead and join? Shenobble made to speak, stopped, glanced at her assistant/recruitment colleague in the hallway leading away from the far wall, and asked,
Burgelli, when's the next Sozniacks transport?
She waited for it seemed like half a second, then snapped.
Well, when is it, you useless lump? You have only two things to do. Get food and know when the Sozniacks transport arrives. And you're a failure at both of them. Standing there in the shadows waiting to be told what to do. By the Bongerlon, I don't know what twisted magic has you as my cousin. You can't even repair a Snodagamble, you useless thing. That pair of extraterrestrials probably know more about Jupiterian engineering than you do.
Yesterday, replied the woman.
Right, okay then, fair enough. That'll do. Go back to waiting for me to ask you to do stuff.
Shenobble then turned to Nancy, Bart, Habon and Shenobble and said,
Right, off you go so. The transport leaves from the garrison. Tell them they owe me commission for 3 bodies. 2 a year probably only worth half a Jupiterian.
Which 2? Asked Shenobble.
The 2 that are idiots.
How can we get the transport if it left yesterday? Asked Nancy.
And now,
snapped Shenobble.
And now,
said Habon. No. Double nowed Shenobble.
It's easy, no, you are an extraterrestrial,
noted Shenobble.
Very easy,
agreed Shenobble.
Sozniacks transports never run on time, explained Habon. Well, Sozniacks anything never runs on time. If it was meant to be here yesterday, it'll probably be here sometime this afternoon, if it does arrive at all. It will, said Shenobble. Those useless muppets can sniff out the presence of new recruits. They know their own kind and will be along to fetch ye, probably. Off ye go so. And remember what I told ye about Snodagamble repair.
No, said Bart. And with that, Nancy, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow, and Habon and Shenobble Unterwackel left behind a grumpy and bitter Sozniacks recruitment officer named Shenobble to continue her life of bullying her cousin and repairing Snodagamble water heaters. They turned left outside the ramshackle Tobanachta Sozniacks recruitment office and headed the not far journey to the pristine but useless and empty Tobanachta Sozniacks garrison. And that was it for the morning of the 6th day of the first human expedition to another planet. A put-upon Snodagamble repair assistant, a Snodagamble-obsessed Jupiterian, 2 European Space Agency mission specialists named Nancy McGinley and Bart McMorrow, Habon and Shenobble Unterwackel, an underground army of sorts, a megalomaniac Martian sheriff, an evil Jupiterian ruler, a crossbow, and the last remaining copy of the Book of Bongerlon, adrift on the Sea of Uncertainty. Okay, listener, thanks for tuning into that. I appreciate it. And if you've been following all along, thanks very much. This will continue. There's 16 to go to the finish. Apologies for the break if you had been following. Just life gets in the way, and that's the nature of these things. But 1 or 2 now will be back into full speed and pick up the pace towards the final episode, hopefully in the new year. So, once again, fair play to you for tuning in. I appreciate it, and chat soon.